lunch just wound up.
Maybe he wants to stand on it.
Brent, this is for you.
Yeah.
Travis Overworking, Travis from Earther.
Travis, of course. I'll never forget you as long as I live. It was a pleasure, truly. Thank you.
With the rebooted Star Trek film series and the upcoming TV series, where are we with the next generation and Commander Data?
I think actually Ian will be playing Commander Data and quite well too, by the way. Data will now be talking like a black rat. I have no idea. Again, just like Ian, if I have ever had anything to do with that project, you'll let me know, won't you? I have no idea. I know nothing. The only thing I know is that it's being put together by some really talented people. I mean, do you know Alex Kurtzman? Did you know him?
No.
Yeah, he co-wrote those last 3 films. Yeah, the last 3 Star Trek films. And did he work on Star Wars? I don't think so. The last, maybe he did. But Brian Fuller, really talented guy, director and writer, is doing the new series for CBS, and Nicholas Meyer, who's a wonderful writer-director. So it's a terrific pedigree. It should be good.
My question is also for Mr. Spiner. I have a 2-part question.
I'm sorry. Get confused sometimes.
The first part of the question we already got a little hint of. I was wondering if there, as a person who have a big personality and pretty garrulous, like your character is emotionless, were there any emotions that were particularly difficult to avoid?
Yeah, I was trying to avoid being garrulous. You called me garrulous?
I never read character in Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. As a matter of fact, I auditioned for it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I didn't get it, no. Happens.
Not again.
Yeah.
Keeps us human.
Exactly.
Angry.
Or angry, yes. Part B?
And the second part, were you aware of it ever becoming difficult to write storylines for Star Trek without Data? Because it's almost omnipotent knowledge. It's very, very powerful. How do they avoid not just having Data solve everything that ever happened?
You know, I think they tried to write a couple of episodes. I think there are a couple of episodes that aren't really, or a few that aren't particularly data-centric. They're among the worst episodes. And I think that's, they learned their lesson and stopped doing that immediately. Yeah, I don't know. It was either I was going to solve everything or Leslie Crusher was going to. And that made the audience so angry, they decided not to go that way. Thank you. Thank you.
The other play. The other play.
Are you sorry?
I can stay for a few more. Get a few more questions.
I'm not going to get some more.
Well, maybe I'll just stay and listen. No, I can't.
It's your play.
I gotta go. Thank you all so much. Enjoy being here.
That's okay. I may go in 3 minutes. I may go down. Yeah.
Did you work with Sebastian Shaw or Alec Guinness before?
Yes, I worked with Sebastian in the theatre. He was a member of the Royal Shakespeare Company, same time I was, same time Patrick was, Patrick Stewart. He was a wonderful man, terrific actor, really, really fine human being. And of course, I didn't know he was going to be in Star Wars, and he didn't know I was. And we bumped into each other in the corridor when he was there to shoot that very well-known scene. And I said, "My goodness, Sebastian, how nice to see you. What are you doing here?" And he said, "I'm not sure, dear boy, but I think it's something to do with science fiction." So I think he was probably very bewildered indeed to find out that he was an icon of long standing.
Thanks.
Hi. Apologize in advance for my nerves. My question was for Ian. Having, been a young kid when the prequels came out, they hold a special place in my heart, and I feel kind of guilty for asking this, but a lot of critics and a lot of really diehard fans feel that the prequels weren't really to par with the expectations of Star Wars, especially with the originals and with the upcoming revamp of them. What are your feelings on it, and how did you feel making it, and do you feel that they hold up?
Well, it was a big adventure for me because I was in the odd situation of being 30-something when I was supposed to be 130. And then when I was 50-something, the character was supposed to be 50-something before once again he became 130. So I got to play him, all the way through. So of course I'm grateful and I had a good time. But it's interesting what you say, that you enjoyed the prequels when you were that young age. Because George always said that they would appeal particularly to people. I don't know how old were you when you saw them?
The first one came out when I was in 3rd grade.
Okay, and that would make you how old?
I'll be 22 in a couple months.
Okay, you're making me do the math. So anyway, well, I didn't say that because George, this is a direct quote, he said that these films, I hope everybody will like them, of course, but they're primarily aimed at 8-year-olds. And I hope 8-year-olds will like them particularly, and I feel that the people who saw the previous ones will like them less, and that's the way it turned out. He said that before the release of Phantom Menace, and not for the first time. His predictions came true. But I think he was, he's a great guy with a wonderful sense of humor, but I think he was very disappointed that there was a big sort of backlash against 1, 2, and 3, not least because as important to making those films was to him, also the business of pioneering digital technology was vital, and he waited until the state of that particular art was at a certain level before he embarked on those films. And now, of course, we take sort of digital technology for granted, and we're rather relieved to see less of it in Episode 7. I don't really mind either way. But the great thing about Episode 7, which I agree with everybody was fantastic, was that there was a lot of really good acting that was allowed to happen because of the nature of the scripts, lots of other things as well. And that was thrilling, and particularly thrilling to see those 2 young actors who just happened to be rich. Give such wonderful, full, witty performance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My question actually is, may I shake your hand? And also, I guess another question would be, how did it feel when you were under the makeup, when you were 50 when the prequels came out-ish, and how you had to play a younger version of yourself?
Yes, well, it's very strange because George didn't tell me a great deal about the prequels. When we met, you probably know the story when we first met. It was a 10-minute meeting over lunch because they cast someone else as the Emperor, and he couldn't take contact lenses fitted. So suddenly it was me. And then when the prequels came out, suddenly it was me again. And there was I meeting George, and I hadn't seen him in the interim in a hotel. And I remember it vividly. In fact, every time I see a bottle of water, I think about it, because I go in the hotel and say, "Hi, Ian, great to see you. Can we get you something to drink?" And I said, "Oh, water will be fine." The bottle came out, and then he said, "Do you know anyone who wants to continue playing an Emperor?" I said, "Oh, yes, you've met the guy." Anyway, okay, fine, give back water. That's what happened that day, but he wouldn't tell me. Of course, I knew who I was playing, and I knew he had to end up with the Emperor. I wasn't that naive. But he said, well, initially this guy starts off as probably quite a nice guy, or like any other politician, you can draw whatever influence you like from that. And he didn't tell me I was Darth Sidious as well. In fact, I only knew that when I got the script for the first days. And the first day was a scene with Rey. it did sort of keep me in a dressing room away from everyone else when I was playing Sidious. And a lot of the members of the cast didn't know that that was me too, because they weren't in on the scene. And in fact, Liam Neeson at the premiere said to me, "My God, it's you!"
Thank you.
Star Wars was such a big success. What was it like being part of something so big that everybody just loves so much?
Extraordinary, really. You know, you've never imagined, and everyone who's in the series franchise, they sort of say the same thing, because usually they were part of it as a kid in some way. And I was part of it as an older kid. And also to hear a character talked about and even see him, both in, you know, the first version of Empire Strikes Back, and then later to find out that it is in fact you, is the most extraordinary thing. And of course, you know, it still is the great franchise, the first franchise of all time. It still amazes me really that I'm part of it. And I remember Ewan McGregor, who I know well, and you before we started working on the film, and he went, "My God, Ian, I had you on my TV." Which conjures up all sorts of unhelpful images. But there must have been a print of the Emperor on his Osh. That's the way I like to think of it.
We have time for one more.
Was there anything like minute or obscure detail or jokes that you remember from doing Star Wars?
Well, in some ways it was one joke after another, you know, off the set. Kept our concentration. I suppose Mark Hamill was responsible for the biggest jokes. When you see me doing all that in an attempt to destroy him, since he won't be turned to the dark side, silly boy. He, at the other side of the camera, every now and again, going like that too, because there's an English comedian no longer alive called Tommy Cooper, and his sort of comic trope was he always got his tricks wrong, so you get to laugh, just like that, and nothing would happen. So when I was being extremely serious and terribly terrified, on the other side of the camera, Mark was like, just like that.
Thank you.
You know what? Let's do one last one.
If it were up to you, would you like to come back to the Star Wars series?
I don't want